Hey y'all, it's Goose. Let's go over some more IRs, specifically the Mesa Oversized cabinet. The Mesa Oversized cabinet is a very popular cabinet used by a ton of metal players, and it is quite possibly kind of the most distinctive sort of chug sound, if you can call it that. I say chug because Ola England constantly uses one of those Mesas. And yeah, it's a very, very iconic cabinet. And Ownhammer has released a new version of it. And so I'm going to compare it with the York Audio ones, which York Audio was the IRs I was using before. And I'm also going to add in, for just the 57 comparison, I'm also going to add in the Boss GT1000 stock IR for the rectifier stack, which sounds pretty shit, but that's okay. We're going to see how far you can take the Boss GT1000 in a way as well, just by using custom IRs. So what I'm going to do today, we're going to shoot out the cabinet with two mic setups. We're going to have a 57 only for the three different IRs, so the Boss, the Ownhammer, and the York Audio, and that is the Ownhammer Essentials, by the way. We're going to do another comparison of the mixes like we did last time. So for this one, it'll be a mix of the 57 and the 421. And that's been actually one of my favorite kind of mixes. For the guitar that I'm using today, we're using the FGN Iliad 7 again. It has Fishman Fluence Moderns. I will be in the Voice 2 because that's just what I prefer. The amp model I'm using in the GT1000 is the Recti Stack, which is a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. I do like the Recti Stack a lot in the GT1000. I think it's one of the better sounding models. I definitely think this is a very fitting amp for the Mesa Oversized IRs. Yeah, hopefully it gives y'all a good impression of what these IRs sound like. So my opinion is that the Ownhammer actually is probably the most balanced sounding of the bunch. The York Audio, I think, is the most full range of the bunch. It sounds more raw, so you hear a lot more high end. That is actually an off angle too. It can actually be even brighter with some of the files that are in the York Audio set. So the Ownhammer only really has one IR for the 57 on its own, and it's pretty well balanced. It's pretty mix ready. And just like the orange cab that I tested in the previous video, it seems like they did a good job with making it feel like you're playing through a cabinet, but also having enough EQ to where it feels good to go just out of the box. York Audio sounds really good in my opinion too. It sounds probably just as clear. You'll need an EQ a little bit after, a bit more, but with the amount of IRs they give you, there are a lot of options for blending, a lot more options than the Ownhammer will give you as well. And the Boss GT1000 stock cab just sounds like shit. It just sounds terrible. It sounds clangy. I don't know why this is how that is, but at least their preamp modeling is pretty good. I actually own a Katana. You can see it kind of right here, but I actually think the Katana's stock IRs, the cabinet sims that they run through, sound better than the ones in the GT1000 for whatever reason. And that's weird to me. And I love my Boss GT1000, don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of things about this unit that a lot of the other units could learn from, like not having gaps when you switch presets. I feel like that's such a simple thing that I don't know why other modelers don't do that. But the cab IRs are just terrible. You have to, if you're going to buy a GT1000, you have to get your own IRs for it. All right, let's move on to mic blends. We're gonna blend again a 57 and a 421. I'm gonna play 2 riffs for each of these blends, and hopefully it'll give you a good comparison of what the blends sound like. Alright, so I actually think both of them sound pretty good for different purposes. The York Audio definitely is slightly more roomy, and then the Ownhammer sounds a little bit more present, and a little bit more bloat kind of in the bass. I think both of them do sound really good for different riffs, and honestly, comparing these two, it's really a matter of flavor and a matter of your workflow. So one of the things that I think will work really well if you just want to plug in an IR and go, I think that Ownhammer Essentials is probably really hard to beat. Whereas if you want to tweak a lot, if you want to get just the perfect sound, I think York Audio gives you just the right amounts of IRs to not make it too daunting to jump into all the files, but also enough options for you to blend, especially since it has minimum phase and natural phase. And it's going to be really easy for you to find a good blend, in my opinion, but it does take a lot more time than the Ownhammer Essentials. So that's basically kind of the conclusion there. I think both of them work really well. It just really depends on what you're looking for. Again, IRs are always going to be different because of not just the cabinet they're trying to mic, but the room that they're in, the material in the room, the size of the room, etc, etc, etc. There's just way too many factors for IRs to be completely the same from company to company. And so comparing these, it's really a matter of giving you the flavor that you might want more of depending on which IR pack you go for. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. If you like this video, consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons. If you have any other IRs you'd like me to compare, I'm actually willing to do that, so let me know. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Later.